we have a 2 million-year-old brain. So this is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is like a thermostat for our body, right? Our bodies want to stay in homeostasis. And your brain doesn't care that you want to fit in this summer's bikini, okay? Your brain cares that you survive and you make sure that you don't starve. Because even though we now live in a culture and in a climate where food is not scarce, where food is actually in abundance, our brain has to fight, or it was so used to fighting and adapting, because back in primitive time, food was scarce, and it was a much bigger deal in order to continue our existence to create all of these different survival mechanisms for us to make sure that we don't starve. So the hypothalamus is our thermostat. So I live in Arizona and it's quite hot here. So just like if I were to set the temperature of the room at 70 degrees Fahrenheit and then open a window and let all the hot air come in, eventually the air conditioner would kick back on because the thermostat has set to 70. It's going to put on enough air conditioning until the whole temperature of the room is back to 70 degrees. And that's what our brain does. So when we go on a big restrictive diet, when we drastically cut calories, our brain is like, hold up, wait a second. And it activates survival mechanisms. And so some of those survival mechanisms include increasing ghrelin. Ghrelin is our hunger hormone, which means that we have increased cravings. There's actually been findings too that like your chemoreceptors, that actually your smell is increased. All of these things to increase your appetite and make you want to continue to eat. Furthermore, it drops leptin. And leptin is created in your fat cells, and it basically lets your body know that you're full, that you're satiated. But when leptin is decreased, you can't feel full. So you can eat and eat and eat, and you get this bottomless pit feeling, and that's when binge eating happens. And a lot of times binge eating is actually stimulated or started after a restrictive diet or even like anorexia. So a lot of anorexics, once they heal, then they'll go into binge eating because their body is just trying to survive. It's trying to get them to eat and eat and eat so that they'll come back to a normal weight. And then of course, there's also the increased cortisol. So cortisol is our stress hormone. It is what is released whenever we are in needing to fight or flight. It'll cause us to retain water. It'll cause us to release glucose into our bloodstream so that we have energy for fight or flight, which then releases insulin. And insulin is our storing hormone, which means we're going to hold on to body fat, particularly around our organs, our visceral fat. So that's when you're holding on and having more belly fat, a lot of it's cortisol. And so not only do we have the stress from our brain being like, hello, let's survive this starvation, hello, but then we also have the increased stress of culture telling us that we need to be thinner, and us looking at the scale and being like, why isn't it moving? And so all of these things lead to stress eating, right? And obviously we don't have that satiety hormone going anymore. All of this is fighting against us to gain more weight. And the problem is the more you diet, the harder it is to lose weight. So this is something, like I said, from that 2016 study from the NIH, they found that actually after the Biggest Losers, so like the 14 contestants, right, they ended up regaining the weight, but their metabolism slowed. So your brain, the hypothalamus, will lower your metabolism so that you can conserve energy since you're taking in less calories. It wants to make sure that it's more efficient, right? But unfortunately, the more often we diet, and particularly the more drastically we diet, that metabolism will never go back up. Like that metabolism for these Biggest Losers, on average, it's 700 calories lower. That's a ton. So they cannot eat 700 calories as much as they used to, even though they're back at their normal weight, because of how drastically they lost it. Dieting, and this is the big one for me, dieting is a major cause or a major factor in the development of eating disorders, right? Restrictive diets can easily lead to anorexia or different forms of control in that sense, but then it also can lead to disordered eating as far as binging and purging, or just having sense of morality or guilt when it comes to eating certain foods, feeling like you're a bad person for eating a cupcake or whatever it is. And there's a huge factor of there's huge psychological factors that that are involved with the scale and with trying to lose weight and trying to diet, particularly the binge restrict cycle. So this is when we restrict a type of food, we have this mindset, okay, I need to lose weight. I need to lose weight. I need to get thin. I'm going to either restrict my calories, or I'm going to, no carbs or no sugar, just cut it out. And then I'm being good, and maybe you're good for a week or so, right? And then you have those increased cravings. You feel hungry, you feel deprived. You have that whole slew of survival mechanisms that are natural. And then you have that primal hunger, you actually are hungry and you're trying to say no, no, no. And what ends up happening is eventually you end up just giving in, caving, binging, just going all out, which then makes you feel guilt, makes you feel shame. And you're like, okay, you know what? You feel guilty. I feel shamed. I feel like a failure. I'm going to try again. I'm going to promise to do better. You know what? Diet starts again on Monday. How many of us have said that? The problem with the diet starts again on Monday is it turns into this last supper mentality. And then we end up being like, well, I'm never going to have this sugar or this cupcake or this pizza again because my diet starts tomorrow. So I better eat it all right now. And it's a whole cycle because we're not actually getting to the root of the problem. So what are we supposed to do? If we know that diets don't work, if we know that restrictive cutting calories and food and macros doesn't work, what are we supposed to do? And here's what I suggest. I suggest a shift in perspective, all right? And that kind of paradigm shift, that kind of shift in lenses. So if I were walking around with these pink glasses, I would see the world completely differently. I kind of want you to think of these glasses as diet culture, as us being told that the only way for us to have worth or value is if we are a certain size, that for us to be healthy, we need to be skinny, that for us to feel good or to be happy, it's that I'll be happy when I lose weight. I encourage you, let's take these lenses off and let's see it for what it really is. And instead of let's stop trying to lose and let's start trying to gain. All right. Again, shifting our perspective, that rather than focusing on all the things we want to lose the inches, we want to lose the dress sizes, we want to lose those pounds on the scale. Rather than focusing on what we want to lose, let's focus on gaining muscle, focus on gaining strength, focus on gaining a positive support group. Focus on gaining energy and gaining vitality and more quality years with our kids and with our grandkids and with our family. Let's focus on gaining confidence, on gaining appreciation and love for our bodies and for who we are, and just having overall vitality, just overall having longer, more quality life.